Samurott performed as well as you'd expect through Kanto, so why don't we see how another starter from Legends Arceus performs? Today, we're going to see how fast Typhlosion can beat Pokemon Blue. Rules are in the description. As we all know, fire types not named Charizard don't perform particularly well through Kanto. One reason is lack of a good setup move, another is move pools. But the biggest sticking point is Lance's Gyarados, with the honorable mention of Lorelei's Water and Ice types. Typhlosion will at least have something to deal super effective damage to Gyarados later on, but unfortunately, it's going to be using the lesser of its attack and special stat. Which, speaking of the stats, if we take a look at them, Typhlosion is normally just Charizard without the flying typing, but Hisuian Typhlosion gets a boost to its special stat at the cost of HP and speed, although 95 speed is still going to be more than enough to outspeed key opponents. Unfortunately for it, Ghost-type moves are physical in Gen 1, so we're not going to have a lot of options aside from our fire moves to take advantage of that 119 special stat. Speaking of the moves, let's cover them real quick. I had to get a little creative with the TMs and I have to explain myself for one of the level up moves. But I went with the Legends Arceus Learn set, and went with the level it learns the move at, with the exception of the final move, where I chose the Mastery level. Now, you'll notice in Legends Arceus, this thing learns Rollout. Today, I substituted that with Rock Throw for a few reasons. The main reason is that I don't know how to code Rollout to work properly in Gen 1 like it does in Gen 2. If you're someone that does, shoot me a message on Discord. I'm happy to listen to you. Now, I did think of an alternative, but didn't really like it, and that was to make Rollout similar to Fury Attack or Swipes, and lower the base power to like 15 or 20. Or I could have made it like Double Kick where it hits twice, but given it a base power of around 30. I felt like just giving it Rock Throw was the happy medium, and I know I put the incorrect power of the move on screen. It's 65% accurate in Gen 1, not 65 base power. Its base power is 50. And even if I could have gotten Rollout working correctly, it probably wouldn't have stayed on the Learn set very long, just like Rock Throw won't. But to cover the rest of its moves really quickly, we get Flame Wheel at 18, an upgrade over Ember, Swift at 25, Flamethrower at 34, which is a godsend, Hex at 36, which is normally the level Quilava evolves into Typhlosion, its signature move Infernal Parade at 40, which unfortunately won't be sticking around because we learned Shadow Ball at 43, which is Ghost-type Psychic, and Fire Blast at 54 to replace Overheat. It's a shame this version of Typhlosion doesn't learn something like Defense Curl since it does learn Rollout. Having some type of badge boost would definitely help improve this Pokemon. Before I get into the TMs, I just want to talk about Viridian Forest real quick. I am going to be fighting all of the bug catchers, and it's not to prepare for Brock, it's more of what comes after him. While it is possible to beat Brock on minimum battles, you do need some luck. There's only two moves of Brock's that can actually hit Typhlosion, Screech and Bide, the latter of which we don't want. And level 10 will get us above 2 damage rounding thresholds compared to where we start the game, so why don't we just dive right into Brock. Geodude is first, and you can see at level 10, Ember is a 5-shot, although I do crit the last one. But you can imagine, if we did this on minimum battles at level 7, it would probably be a 7 to 8 hit KO. We level up going into his Ace Onyx, and I don't want to see Bide. If it does use Bide, switch to Quick Attack and do the least amount of damage to it. We don't see Bide in this battle though, and like with Geodude, Ember is a 5-hit KO on it, and that's the first badge down. As we head towards Mount Moon, at this moment in the playthrough, I began to think what I was going to do for Misty. For Typhlosion, it doesn't make sense to go to Vermilion first, and I thought I will probably face her around level 25 and have Dig on my moveset for her. But to help prepare, I'm going to take some optional battles in Mount Moon. The first is against this super nerd, followed by the bug catcher near the rare candy. I then make my way to the Grass Lass and pick up Mega Punch after her. The last optional battle I'm going to take is against the Rocket Raticate Grunt, and as I battle the Super Nerd at the end of the cave and take the Dome Fossil, Typhlosion reaches level 19. This isn't going to be the level I take on Misty, but I will take on the rival immediately. Pidgeotto doesn't punish me with Sand Attack, wasting its only turn in battle going for Quick Attack as I two-shot it with Flame Wheel. I quickly take care of Abra and Rattata before moving on to his Ace Squirtle. Mega Punch does Mega Punch things missing, as Bubble does pathetic damage lowering my speed, which also badge boosts me, and Mega Punch crits, barely missing the one-shot. At least I still have Quick Attack on my moveset though to finish off the turtle. I'm going to jump ahead past Nugget Bridge to escape roping out of Bill's house. By this point, Typhlosion is level 23, which I believe will be enough for Misty, and once I defeat the innocent bystander, it will be level 24. After getting the TM for Dig, I'm going to teach it in place of Quick Attack, and now I'm ready to take on the Water type specialist. Staryu is first. I go for Dig and get a critical hit, knocking it out and moving on to her ace Starmie. Once again, Dig gets a critical hit, but the star hangs on and hits me with Bubble Beam, doing around a third. Maybe I should have kept Quick Attack for this instance because of the 100% accuracy. While Flame Wheel probably would have finished it, I play it safe, going for another Dig and finishing the star off, earning me the second badge. As I head into Vermilion towards the SSN, I'm going to quickly cover the TMs, partly because we didn't do it earlier, and partly because there's going to be 2 I'm going to be picking up on the SSN. I started in Gen 2 with Typhlosion's TMs, and looked at each generation afterwards to build its TM learn set, and came up with what you see on the far left. If there's something you don't agree with, let me know in the comments. But I took Charizard's Gen 1 TMs, made some tweaks while looking at other gens, and came up with this. And 2 of the TMs we're going to be getting now. The first is the TM for Rest. The second should be no surprise, it's TM08 Body Slam, and after I pick up the Gentleman Candy, I take on the rival. And there's not a lot to say on this one. I don't get punished with Sand Attack just like in the Rival 2 battle, and I just keep my cursor on Flame Wheel until I make it to Wartortle. I switch to Body Slam for it, which 2-shots the tanky turtle. Jumping right into the battle with Surge, it's just as uneventful as Rival 3. Body Slam one-shots his first 2 Pokemon, and I have Dig for the Raichu, which of course one-shots it. Okay, so far Hisuian Typhlosion is kind of a beast. I actually did a Typhlosion playthrough in Red on the channel a few years ago using the Sanqui randomizer tool. If that interests you, go check it out. But at this point in my playthrough, I was wondering, where was Typhlosion going to struggle? Is it going to dominate until Lance? Could possibly Rival 5 or 6 slow it down? One trainer that won't is the self-destructing Hiker. The only attack that can hit us is Rock Throw, and I have Dig for super effective damage against his rock types. Picking things up in Celadon, after buying my repels and a Pokédoll, I head to the top floor to buy 2 Soda Pops. One I'm going to exchange for the Rock Slide TM, or my Gyarados killer for later on. After getting Fly west of town and opening up the path to Saffron, it's time to take on Giovanni at the game corner. And there are 2 things I'm going to talk about really quick as the battle plays in the background. The first is that I don't pick up the PP up in the hideout or any high money items or vitamins. I will be picking up vitamins later on like proteins when I come across them, but stuff in here, I just skip it. And the second is that after we knock out Kangaskhan, we level up to 34 and it's time for another moveset upgrade. We can ditch Flame Wheel for the superior Flamethrower. And Flamethrower is immediately going to put in work against Erica, as it one-shots her entire team. I don't even bother healing after Giovanni. Following the trend of not healing, I'm immediately going to take on Rival 4 at Pokemon Tower. The battle is as follows. 1 hit, 1 hit, 1 hit, 1 hit, not a 1 hit, but we do get paralysis. It hits me with Water Gun doing pathetic damage and I knock it out on the next turn. Once again, it's the age-old question of where to go after Pokemon Tower. I could go to Silphco and pick up the Earthquake TM along with an extra candy and battle the rival, and use said candies if I need to get by him. Or I can go to Fuchsia, battle Koga, and head to Cinnabar and battle Blaine afterwards, and pick up 4 candies along the way, along with the TM for Solar Beam if I really want it in Cinnabar Mansion. I don't see either choice being a problem or providing any difficulty, but I choose to go to Fuchsia afterwards. Lately in some of these runs, I've been picking up optional battles on Cycling Road against the bikers with fully evolved Pokemon on their team, but we're not doing that today. I'm just going to pick up the hidden rare candy, skipping the hidden PP up, and I'm gonna head straight into the Safari Zone to get the final HMs of the run and a couple vitamins. I end up picking up this protein near the end because it won't hurt to have some extra attack when I have to teach Rock Slide in the league. After getting Surf and Strength, Typhlosion tears its way through Koga's gym, and it's time to make the Ninja Master see some ghost. I didn't expect Typhlosion to lose this battle, but I was blown away by how easy it was. Flamethrower easily melts his 2 Coughings as Dig one-shots Muck thanks to a crit, and against Weezing, I didn't even need to go for Dig because this thing blows up immediately, and Self-Destruct can't hit me anyways, an easy 5th gym badge. Well, I could go to Silphco next. I don't see anything wrong with going to Cinnabar now. The experience I'll get from battling Blaine will only help me, and I can get 2 additional candies in the mansion along with the TM for Fire Blast, if I really need it. So why don't we go ahead and fight fire with fire against the Quizmaster himself. Growlithe is first. I go for Body Slam hoping for a one-shot, which I don't get, but I do get Paralysis. I'm able to knock it out on the next turn and level up afterwards. And at level 40, we can learn Typhlosion's signature move Infernal Parade, which I'm going to delete Hex for. In case you're wondering what this move is, it's a 60 base power ghost move that has a 30% chance to burn and doubles in power if the foe has a status condition. I don't know how to code that second effect into Gen 1, so we're not going to be having that today. Back to the battle with Blaine, who sends out Ponyta next, and Dig one-shots it. I'm going to be sticking with Dig against Rapidash, which leaves it on a sliver, and Blaine uses a super potion smartly. You don't say that very often now, do ya? I go for Body Slam, hoping it can finish off the horse, and it doesn't, which then goes for Fire Spin, wasting my time. Blaine uses another super potion during this as well, and when I'm finally free, I just go for Dig and knock out the horse, moving on to his ace Arcanine. Oh, poor Arcanine. The only attacks it has that can hit me are Ember and Fire Blast. It's just 2 turns of Dig, 4 turns total in battle to knock this thing out and earn ourselves the Volcano badge. The only place left to go is Silphco. I'm gonna head to the 10th floor and battle the Rocket Grunt and then pick up the Carbos, Rare Candy, and the TM for Earthquake. This is going to be the only optional battle I take here. I'm going to battle the 1 Rocket Grunt and get the card key and immediately battle Rival 5 afterwards. And even though we do have 6 badges to this point, I wouldn't consider us over-leveled for this battle. And things start out great. I crit my opening Flamethrower one-shotting the Pidgeot, and against Growlithe, Body Slam doesn't one-shot it, but it does paralyze it, and it's fully paralyzed so we can take it out the next turn with no damage taken. Execute of course falls to a Flamethrower, and we level up going into Alakazam. It would be nice if Gen 1 didn't have the jank coding where Psychic types are immune to Ghost types. I could fix this in my backports, but this is one of those things I prefer to leave in. Although in a future video, I have plans to patch it just to show how dominant a certain Pokemon can be. That video will probably be coming out in October. Put your guesses in the comments. Anyway, Body Slam is a 2-shot on Alakazam as Confusion does pathetic damage and I move on to his ace Blastoise. Now I'm gonna pause it here. Notice Infernal Parade. It's a fire type move. I forgot to change it to Ghost type when copying a line of code. I didn't notice it in this battle. I actually noticed it against the rocket outside of Giovanni's chamber. It's a little frustrating, but we're going to be deleting this move once we hit level 43 for Shadow Ball, which is much better for our Ghost type. Anyway, I stick with Infernal Parade, which does pathetic damage, as Bubble crits, doing about the same as my Infernal Parade did. I'm glad this thing doesn't have any good water moves for now. I switch to Dig as Blastoise begins to set up Withdraw. It doesn't do much because of Blastoise's increased defense. It continues to set up, and I should have switched to Flamethrower at this point, but my next Dig gets a critical hit, bypassing the withdraws and knocking out the tanky Tortoise. Giovanni time. I leveled up to 43 battling the mandatory rocket outside of his chamber and now have Shadow Ball. And it's going to be my move of choice, although for Nidorino and Nidoqueen I should have just went for Flamethrower right away. I use it on the Rhyhorn due to it being neutral against it, and even though Flamethrower is resisted by Rhyhorn, it has Trash Special, so it probably would have one-shot. It doesn't really matter, Giovanni isn't a challenge. Before taking on Sabrina, I make sure to stop by Copycat's house and get the TM for Mimic. I'm going to need this for the league. This is a battle where if Psychic types didn't resist Ghost, it would be much easier, but Body Slam is still more than enough to get the job done against her frail Psychic types as Flamethrower destroys Venomoth. Viridian City Gym. I want to point out one thing here. I battle one optional trainer in here. This cool trainer with a Nidorino and Nidoking who gives decent experience. This is going to line up some candy usage for Rival 6. Now let's take on the final gym leader. The most annoying thing about this battle is that I have to 2-shot all of his Pokemon with the exception of the Dugtrio. I also don't have any PP left of Dig after using the one I had on Rhyhorn. Rhydon would normally be a 3-hit with Flamethrower, but my second scores a critical hit, and you'll see as soon as I knock it out, Typhlosion levels up to 47. This will allow me to use 3 rare candies to reach level 50 before taking on Rival 6. And I anticipate this battle being difficult because his Blastoise now has Hydro Pump, and unlike later gens where Typhlosion can get access to TMs and TRs like Thunder Punch or Wild Charge, I don't have any of that. The battle starts out with a Gen 1 miss from Flamethrower as Pidgeot sets up an agility and then hits me with a weak wing attack. Flamethrower is a 2-shot, and because this rival shares the same code as the optional rival outside of Viridian, he uses a potion as opposed to something else. From here, I can 1 or 2-shot the Rhyhorn, Growlithe, and Execute, and now have to contend with Alakazam. Body Slam does well over half, and it retaliates with Psychic, getting a massive critical hit and leaving me with 30 HP. I knock it out and move on to Blastoise. And unless this thing spams something like Skull Bash or Withdraw, I'm going to lose. Shadow Ball does maybe a third, as Hydro Pump takes me out. I try again with the intent to candy to 53 if I fail. This time Alakazam chooses Psybeam, which doesn't crit me, and I'm on to Blastoise once again. Shadow Ball this time not only crits, it gets a special drop on Blastoise, which allows me to tank the incoming Hydro Pump. However, my next Shadow Ball unfortunately leaves it on a sliver, and I thought this was it for me, but Blastoise goes for Withdraw, throwing the battle. That's not going to be the last time I get lucky in this run. In Victory Road, I'm going to pick up the extra candy along with 2 optional battles. The first is against this cool trainer with Parasect, Dugong, and Chansey, and the second is against the cool trainer with the Bellsprout line. This gets Typhlosion to level 52 before entering the league. How will the ghostly fire type fare? Lorelei is first, and I forgot to teach Mimic before the battle. My plan was to steal Amnesia from the Slowbro and melt her remaining Pokemon with Flamethrower. I don't even make it to Slowbro in this battle, because Flamethrower leaves Cloyster in red health, and it hits me with Clamp getting a critical hit, and it lasts long enough to take out Typhlosion for only the second reset of the run. After another quick reset where I forgot to teach Mimic again and more Clamp shenanigans, I use 3 candies to 55 and have this battle. Flamethrower is still a 2-shot on Dugong and it hits me with a Roar Beam lowering my attack but badge boosting my other stats. This combined with being over a damage rounding threshold allows Flamethrower to 1-shot Cloyster. Once Slowbro comes out, I'm going to Mimic Amnesia, fully set up, and sweep her team. Unless I get a critical hit, which I do against Lapras. It hits me with Confuse Ray, but thankfully Typhlosion doesn't hit itself and knocks out her ace. Bruno, just keep your cursor on Flamethrower and obliterate his team. Agatha, use Shadow Ball on the Ghost, Flamethrower on the Golbat and Arbok, the latter of which is actually a 2-shot. Before taking on Lance, I'm going to teach Rock Slide in place of Body Slam. This is going to be my Gyarados killer, hopefully. The question now becomes, how much will this move do to Gyarados? I'm hoping for at least half, and it looks like it's doing less than half, while Gyarados' Hydro Pump does well over half to me. I get my first bit of luck in this battle, getting a critical hit to finish off his lead. The first of Lance's Dragonairs come out, and Shadow Ball is going to be a 2-shot, where Dragon Rage will also 2-shot me. I finish it off and thought I was going to be done from here, but his second Dragonair just goes for Agility, twice, allowing me to knock it out and move on to the Aerodactyl. The only attack I don't want to see is Supersonic, and I accidentally go for Flamethrower on it when I should have just used Rock Slide. It goes for Bite, which can't affect me, and I knock it out. Last is Dragonite, which has no moves that can hit Typhlosion, and with Lance completely throwing the battle, it's time for the champion. Pidgeot is first, and Rock Slide does well over half to it, as it mirror moves it back to me. I'm going to waste no time and go for the more accurate Flamethrower to knock this thing out. Against Alakazam, I decide to mimic Recover because I have a feeling I'm going to need to heal up before Blastoise. It goes for Psybeam and scores a critical hit. Between Flamethrower and Rock Slide, they're both going to 2-shot this thing, so I have to go for Recover in hopes that it's going to use Recover itself or Reflect. It chooses Psychic, which also gets a special drop, and while that does badge boost my attack stat, I'd rather not have my best stat lowered. hard. Rock Slide does around 2/3 to it as another Psybeam brings me to 33 HP. Please Rock Slide, don't miss now. It doesn't, and I knock this thing out moving on to Rhydon. I want this thing to use Leer and Tail Whip to badge boost me as I heal back HP. I only get one unfortunately as I knock it out over 2 turns. Arcanine can also badge boost me with Leer, but it just goes for Ember as Rock Slide 2-shots it. Exeggutor could be annoying by putting me to sleep, but its attacks can't do anything to me. It doesn't, and Flamethrower 2-shots it. I level up losing any badge boosts I had and move on to Blastoise. Just like in the Rival 6 battle, Shadow Ball scores a critical hit and a special drop to lower the damage from the incoming Hydro Pump. And just like in that battle, my next Shadow Ball leaves it on a Sliver, and he's got me dead to rights, but he goes for Withdraw. My next Shadow Ball connects, winning us the run. Typhlosion finishes with a real time of 39 minutes and 46 seconds, with 3 resets at level 60, with an in-game time of 2 hours and 32 minutes. And honestly, this thing exceeded my expectations. I thought it would be around the 2 hours 45 minute mark or higher, which now brings the question of, how do you top this? The computer had me dead to rights in 3 of the final 6 battles, and just pulled the old SOL saying. That same old lines for any football fans out there. God, I'm so glad we have a good team now. I hope they win it all in my lifetime. Anyways, the point of the saying or the meme is, they had me dead to rights. They could have easily put me away, but they didn't, and allowed me to claw back and claim victory. And I won't lie to you guys, I dove in for a second playthrough to try to top this, but I didn't get a better time, both real time and in-game time. But a sub 40 run with nearly a 2 hour 30 minute in-game time is nothing to scoff at, and it's very good, especially for a fire type. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this run. We've got one starter left from Legends Arceus, who I think has the potential to even beat Samurott. As always, thank you for the continued support, and special shout out to the channel members. And if you want to play with Hisuian Typhlosion, consider becoming a member, as I make all the patch files available for members. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care, everybody.